Hello and welcome to Street Smart Live. I'm Cindy Edwards. Uranium stocks are surging in response to an upbeat outlook. Will they enrich investors in 2021? The case for investing in uranium is strongest that it's been in a decade. And today we're going to find out why. Before we do that, please take a look at our disclosure statement, which is right there in front of you. Yes. Do some speed reading, and why not subscribe to Street Smart Live while you're at it? All right, now that we've got that out of the way, joining us now are Nico Kakos, CEO of Blue Sky Uranium, Guillermo Pensado, Blue Sky's VP of Exploration and Development, and Gerardo Del Real, President of Resource Stock Digest. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you all. Gerardo, I want to start with you. The uranium equities have performed well recently. So what do you say to those who feel like they've missed out on this run?
I would encourage everybody to go back to 2005 and look at a chart of a company named Mega, which went from a market cap of approximately $15 million to $940 million the of 2000. And so for people that are comfortable and familiar with the uranium cycle, we often say it's better to be early than late. A lot of very smart people have been about 5 years early to this uranium bull market, but I find it here. And so when you see triple-digit gains, those should be put in perspective relative to past uranium bull cycles. And I think that's a great starting point for people, especially that are new to the sector.
Okay, so you're saying it's not too late. That's good. Nico, Blue Sky stock is up over 180% over the last 3 months. But right now, when we think of uranium producers, we think of Kazakhstan and Russia and Canada and Australia. But Blue Sky has a big project in Argentina. Tell us about your early results and how much uranium you think is potentially there.
What we have in Argentina is very exciting. It's not just a new discovery of a new deposit. It is a discovery of an entire new district of uranium, which is not unlike some of the districts that you find in Kazakhstan. The uranium districts in Kazakhstan, it's important for our audience to keep in mind, that's where today 60% of the world's uranium is produced. And this is the kind of deposit, these deposits can run up to 100, 200 million pounds. They're monstrous deposits. And what we've discovered is a grassroots deposit, grassroots uranium district in Argentina, in southern Argentina, that we've been working on over the last 15 years with our association and management of Grosso Group. And to date, we've already identified an initial just under 23 million pounds of uranium deposit there. And we're undertaking a campaign now to expand and grow that. And we're excited with the potential. This district that we have has the potential to rank amongst the largest and lowest cost in the world. Very, very exciting.
Very exciting indeed. Okay, Guillermo, we know that clean energy is a huge topic and nuclear energy is gaining popularity because of that. You can't run a nuclear reactor without uranium. So is that primarily what your uranium will be used for? And what are some other uses for uranium?
Well, certainly uranium has a significant play in the clean energy for the next decades. And that will be for sure the more significant. But also in countries like Argentina, we produce elements from the uranium that are used in medicine, in food, in agriculture, and in many other sectors that also use the nuclear energy as part of a high science and technology tool.
Now, I want to talk about your management group and the track record of making economic discoveries. Who wants that one? Nico?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
The company Blue Sky is managed by the Grosso Group. The Grosso Group is headed by our chairman, Joseph Grosso, who's a legend basically in Argentina. is one of the pioneers and founders and founders of that got exploration and mining going in Argentina. He's received numerous awards, including Mining Man of the Year in the Argentine Mining Hall of Fame and so forth. So this gives Blue Sky a real competitive advantage in terms of contacts with government officials at all levels, industry officials, and people in the resource sector in Argentina. And the Grausa Group has had many successes in the last 30 years in Argentina. They've been responsible in managing and making 4 major discoveries, 2 of which have gone into production. Third one is one of the largest silver deposits in the world. And the 4th discovery is Blue Sky's Amarillo Grande. And I'm hoping this is going to be the biggest of all.
I have to ask you about the Ivana deposit. It's an in-house discovery. Can you give us a brief on the timeline up to the present and why this is so significant?
Guillermo, would you like to answer that one?
Well, as Nico said before, this company discovered an entire district, and this was back in 2006. And in exploration, in geology, take a lot of time to realize the potential of a district. Most significant in a place huge like this one is 140 kilometers north-south by 40, 50 kilometers east-west. That's a huge amount of land. So we were exploring for almost 10 years until we focused all our efforts at Ivana at the beginning of 2017. And in only a year and a half, we already had about 20 million pounds uranium, which are now increased to almost 23 million pounds of uranium, plus vanadium, at almost on surface or near surface. That is the key part of Ivana in this district. It gives us the first deposit of the district. It gives us, from the preliminary economic assessment, a potential economic deposit, as Nico said, that could be economic today due to the operating costs, very low operating costs because it's on surface and almost a quarry if you see how can you produce it. But also gave us, from the geological and exploration point of view, the understanding of the system where we are, and this start to tip up the learning curve. So now we are in the entire district, controlling an entire district with one potentially economic deposit that give us the key tool to apply in the rest of the district where there are many other targets to go and explore.
Well, Nico, costs were mentioned. How do you keep your costs so low, or how do you keep them down, at least?
Well, there's 2 kinds of costs. There's our current costs of managing our operation, and we do what we've done is management team is basically incentivized by owning a large number of shares of the company. The company, I would say, is owned 60 or 65% owned by insiders, management, and just business associates of the company. So, and then we keep our overhead costs very, very low. Our incentive is to align very much with shareholders. That's where our reward does kick in. That's where my reward will kick in. But in terms of the cost that Guillermo was speaking of, it's the nature of this deposit. It sits right up at surface, and there's no blasting required, nothing expensive to extract. The engineering and the metallurgy to extract the uranium and vanadium out of the ground is very, very simple. It's tried and true, and we're very optimistic. You know, this is a good deposit and a good environment to be working in, something that potentially can make money today. And as the price of uranium, as we project, will continue to go up, we're going to be in a very, very nice position.
Of course, we encourage everybody who's watching to throw us a comment, ask a question. We've had some that came in from people that registered, but for people who are watching live right now, we do have questions coming in. And this is a question I'm sure one of you can answer from a guy named, or a person named Key Comics. Is the geology similar to U308 Laguna deposit? Does anybody know?
I think Guillermo takes that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, Laguna Salada is like it sees the deposit, Ivana deposit on surface. But in fact, the superficial view of the deposit is just the superficial expression of a deposit, name it sandstone deposit or roll from deposit, which are more popular and where most of the uranium coming today from Kazakhstan is produced. Those kind of sandstone deposits are bigger, higher grade than superficial deposit. So the Laguna Salada is superficial uranium that in this case, because we have the deposit so near surface or almost on surface, we have a combination of these two kind of deposits, superficial deposits and sandstone deposits.
All right. Hope that answered your question.
Sorry,
Nico,
I was so technical.
That's okay. That's okay. Nico, Blue Sky just completed a round of funding, and we understand there was a lot of interest. Tell us more about that.
It was amazing. We announced financing between Christmas and New Year, which is typically the absolutely quietest time of the year. And because we wanted to get going with our drill program that we have planned up and not currently underway. So as we announced the financing, our phones and email inboxes went off the hooks, basically. The amount of interest was absolutely astounded. I hadn't seen that kind of interest for years. So we increased the amount of financing. We raised to $5.5 million. And now we're well funded to complete the 4,500 meter drill program that we currently have underway and some preliminary engineering studies, which we hope to have done by April. And the objective of this is to drill out additional targets from where we currently have our deposit and see if we can add a few more pounds, double it, triple it. Who knows what it'll be? You know, it's very, very exciting. And to have the funding already in place and to have the programs underway, these are the kind of days I live for. I do anyways.
Hey, okay, Gerardo, president of Resource Stock Digest. What do you look for in a management team when you're evaluating a company?
You know, Nico, you should tell them how exciting it was last year around this time.
Yeah.
my point being that markets turn very quickly and the better teams always take advantage of tough markets. And I think that's one of the biggest boxes that I check off when I'm looking at a management team is, has this management team been successful doing what they're telling me as a shareholder that they're hoping to accomplish? And if they have, in the commodity, in the country, in the region, that lends a vote of confidence that for me allows me to move down that checklist when I'm doing my due diligence, right? And so I want country experience. I want commodity experience. I want the ability for a management team not to survive or excel in good markets. I can do that. And I'm not a geologist, right? I want to see that they're able to survive and thrive in bear markets. And I think in the case of Blue Sky, I don't do too many of these because most companies aren't able to navigate those markets. Blue Sky did a phenomenal job, and they should be commended for that.
Now, a lot of analysts have been calling for a bull run for uranium for a long time. So why do you think this is real this time?
You know, it's ironic that I'm on a day where I'm hoping that the lights don't go out. I'm here in Austin, Texas. And so Rick Rule has a famous line that I borrow all the time, right? Either the price goes up or the lights go out. And here in Texas, you know, in Houston, 1 in 3 residents, a city of 6-7 million people, the lights are out. In Austin, 2 out of every 4 people, the lights are out. Now, is nuclear the only solution for that? Absolutely not. But it absolutely will play a critical, and I mean that, a critical factor moving forward in the infrastructure scale out, not just in the US, but around the world, because it is the safest, the cleanest, the most reliable energy. And frankly, for the past decade or two, we've really underinvested in energy infrastructure across the sector, right? And so I think nuclear is going to be a big part of that. One last comment. The uranium sector is a small space. So when we talk about uranium juniors, understand that it's high risk, high reward. But when you get momentum in this market, that's how you go from those $25 million market caps to that $940 million market cap that I referenced with Mega Uranium earlier.
Nico, why are there so few uranium producers in the world? What happened?
Well, for a long time, there has been, a general public sort of hesitation to embrace nuclear technology as being a safe and reliable source of energy. And in the last few years, we've begun to see a wholesale change in that in the public, and we're seeing that on a global scale. We're seeing a major driver of that, I believe, is climate change. There's a lot of countries in the world that are signatories to the Paris Climate Change Accord. They are committed to reducing greenhouse gases. Countries like India and countries like China, Argentina, and so forth. And it cannot be done unless there is a bigger mix of reliable and secure nuclear energy generating some of that electricity.
And is the intent for Blue Sky just to provide uranium to Argentina, or would it go beyond that?
Oh, definitely go beyond. Our intent right now is to advance our project, to grow it, advance it, and become, because already we are the largest uranium deposit in Argentina and most advanced. And our goal is to work with Argentina and become the first domestic source of supply of uranium for its nuclear needs. But definitely, the project we project has potential and is big enough to be able to export beyond that.
All right, we have a viewer question from Philip. Your filings on the OTC are very good and up to date. Do you have aspirations to ever move to the New York Stock Exchange? What needs to happen for you to achieve that?
We need to grow our market cap. And this is what's been happening right now. Our market cap in just the last month has almost tripled. So we're well underway on that. I believe that we will continue to grow that with investor awareness and the interest that the market is paying to our stocks, and furthermore with the work that Guillermo's overseeing, the drilling work. As we add more pounds, I think that the market is going to pay a lot more attention to what we're doing. So this is a very key time to look at Blue Sky and consider it for your portfolio.
Now, some of the people who registered for this were kind enough to submit some questions beforehand. So I've got one for you, Nico, from Sean. Tell us about the chairman's history in South America.
Well, as I touched a little bit at the opening, the chairman's history in South America is quite legendary, especially in Argentina. Back in '93, there was no mining in Argentina. It was all controlled by the state. When the government decided to allow foreign investment, Joe Grosso, our chairman, was one of the first entrepreneurs on the ground there, and basically began and worked with the government and pioneered the development of the mining and exploration industry in Argentina. And 30 years later, almost, he has a lot of success to go with that. Assembled a top-rate team, including Guillermo and some of the others that are with us now. And without a good management team, without a jockey, you can't win a racehorse. And having a top-tier management team is absolutely key.
Pat wants to know, where did the money from the last private placements go?
Well, it went to the bank, but the money is enough money to allow us to effectively complete a 4,500 meter drill program that we have underway, and to undertake all the engineering studies metallurgical studies that we're doing now. So basically until about April. Beyond that, we're hoping to turn the company towards more advanced engineering studies, pre-feasibility studies, and so forth. And then at that point, that'll require additional funds that we'll raise at a later time.
All right. Yeah. Well, that leads into these next questions from Chuck and John. What's your anticipated development schedule? John says, how far off is production? And Peter says, what are the drivers for the next 1 to 3 years and then the next 3 to 5 years?
Guillermo?
Okay. The pre-feasibility study, as Nico said, is already starting now with new metallurgical studies. And hopefully we can advance with all those studies for the next year or so. Meanwhile, we will maintain our exploration program at the same time, because we want to show not only that we have a potential economic deposit as Ivana, if not also the potential that the district has to increase the volume that can be produced in the future. After pre-feasibility study, probably we can have another 2 years for feasibility studies and permits and so on, environmental baseline and things like that. That they are already starting today, but they need at least 3 years to be completed.
Okay, Gerardo, this might be a question for you. What's your estimated cost of uranium 5 years out?
Oh, the crystal ball thing. Well, let me preface my answer by saying a lot of people, as I mentioned, way smarter than I, have been calling for this uranium bull market for the past 5 years. So we'll start there, and that's my disclaimer, right? But listen, back to the mega uranium example. Between 2005, the beginning of 2005 and the end of 2007, the price of uranium went from $20 to $78 on the way to $136 a pound. There is more bipartisan support, not just in this country, in the United States, but around the world, to develop domestic sources of nuclear supply because of the geopolitical risk that comes with sourcing nuclear from countries that may or may not be the most friendly to the home country. And so I think there's been very few times where we see political will, the economics to incentivize production. And it's coinciding at a time where, because of the underinvestment, there simply aren't a lot of quality deposits there. It's literally the perfect storm. And I hate to say that on a day like today here in Austin, but it's the perfect storm for higher prices. You'll note that, Blue Sky Uranium is up 180%, I believe, here in the past couple of months.
3 months, yeah.
The spot price has barely moved. And so I believe that the juniors are front running the market in anticipation, because markets typically are forward looking, right? I think we're getting a classic example of that right now.
While I've got you, what advice would you give to speculators who are really new to this sector?
It's high risk, but it's high reward. So don't be afraid to take profits along the way. The question that the two gentlemen asked about 1 to 3 years and 3 to 5 years, the real question they were asking is, how are you going to make me money if I buy your stock, right? Exactly. And the answer, I think, and forgive me for speaking on Nico's behalf, is we're going to make sure that the budget we have, Blue Sky Uranium, that every dollar that's spent is accretive. And the way you do that is what Guillermo referenced, right? You add pounds, you de-risk the project with metallurgical studies, you advance it. And I would say don't discount the possibility, because of the district scale land package, of a major partner coming in and helping develop multiple deposits. So I would say to people that are new in the space, get your information from multiple sources, because everybody has a book and a story to sell you. Don't be afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid to take profits. And it's great to go up 180% in a month or two. The pullbacks are usually 30, 40, 50% right after that. So don't be afraid of those. Keep your eye on why you speculated on the company in the first place, right?
Exactly. All right, Nico, next steps for Blue Sky Uranium.
Next steps are, well, today, actually this morning here in Vancouver, we made the announcement that our drill program at the Ivana extensions is finally underway. So our next steps are going to be to complete this drill program. That's going to be completed probably by about April, as well as some of the metallurgical engineering studies that are underway. And as Guillermo mentioned before, in the second quarter of this year, over the course of the next year or so, we're going to undertake the pre-feasibility study, and we're going to advance this project, and we're going to see where we get. The idea being is, at what point we're explorers. We're not producers within house. So do we bring somebody on, a major partner, like Gerardo mentioned? Do we sell it to a major partner, or do we have a carried interest? So we're looking to see what event is going to maximize returns for shareholders. And that's my primary thought all the time.
Guillermo, what's your final thought on this today?
Well, that Amarillo Grande really is an entire district which story is just starting. That's for me, for geology. It's really nice to be here. I joined the company like 5 years ago, and I think that this project has a lot of things to tell, not only to us, if also for the uranium sector in general. And it's funny to be working in a place that gives you so much things. It's like being exploring copper in Chile. You always find copper. Here is uranium in the district where you know that you are going to find more uranium. So for a geologist, exploration geologist, is to have fun years in front.
Okay, and Gerardo, I'm going to give you the last word on this topic.
Cindy, I'm thankful to be on. I'm going to go ahead and answer your last question with a specific price point. I think that in this go round, the spot price will flirt with $200 a pound. But I think the sustainable price looking forward 5 years from now, $95 to $100 is kind of where I see it. This market always overshoots. We saw that last time. The conditions are more favorable this time around. So I do see a rapid increase, but then a sustainable $95 to $100. I'll leave that there.
Wow. Okay. Well, I appreciate your insight, as I'm sure everybody who's watching really appreciates it too. Nico Kakos, CEO of Blue Sky Uranium, Guillermo Pensado, Vice President Exploration and Development from Blue Sky, and Gerardo Del Real, President of Resource Stock Digest and co-founder of Digest Publishing. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Really good to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you in 5 years.
Yes, yeah. Definitely. All right. And everyone at home, have a great day. And we will see you again on the next Street Smart Live. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Want to stay on top of the latest stock market news? Hit the subscribe button below. Our mission at Street Smart Live is to help you be proactive rather than reactive investors. Be the first to hear analysis from the world's top investment experts and exciting news from publicly traded companies, live and in real time. If you're interested in featuring a publicly traded company on our show, please email us at info@streetsmartlive.com.